nice to get to meet you all. Thank you all for having me here today. Thank you to MobileBeat and Matt for giving us this opportunity to tell you what we've been up to with LIKEtoKNOW.it. To give you a little bit of background on Reward Style, I started my own fashion blog about 5 years ago. And when I did, there was no tools for me to really manage, and then of course monetize my influence. On the retailer side, there were no tools for them to leverage influencer content at scale. And so my co-founder Baxter Box and I identified a gap in the marketing industry and have now created a solution that's leveraged by 4,000 retailers worldwide. Those 4,000 retailers are now spending tens of millions of dollars with us every year in order to further their own marketing campaigns. What's I think most exciting about Reward Style is just where we are culturally. So there, of course, I think has never been a time in history where my generation and those younger than me have been more equipped to ideate, generate, share, distribute content, thank you, than ever before. And of course, those things are great, but they don't take you anywhere unless you're able to truly make a business out of it and able to monetize that influence. And so that's where Reward Style comes in. So one of the biggest cultural shifts that we've seen is just really this fragmentation of influence. So even as early as 5 years back, there was a certain group of magazines, if you're in the digital style space or in the style space at all, that you knew that you needed to have your placement in, and all the retail brands and designers wanted to be in those magazines, and that was the end all be all. But of course now there are actually hundreds of thousands of influencers worldwide that are creating blogs, Instagram accounts, Snapchat accounts, Twitter accounts, and really as a retailer or a brand, you're left helpless unless you can actually leverage that influence or harness that fragmentation and ride with it. So these are a few of the types of influencers that we work with today. You'll see there's models and actresses and bloggers and even the traditional magazines themselves. So what we've done is we've actually identified these influencers and trained them. So we provide them with education and also business services through technology so that they're actually able to build small businesses out of their influence online. These influencers are making a substantial impact on retail sales, so we'll look at that in just a moment. I want to show you guys an example from a girl who's based here in San Francisco. Her name's Julia. She writes a blog named Gal Meets Glam. She's a young girl who we started working with just a few years back, and Julia actually leverages our tools and services to monetize her influence. So before she started working with Reward Style, she would create beautiful blog posts as you see here, but she had absolutely zero incentive to tell her followers what hotel she was staying at or where she was traveling or where she got her cute beanie. But with our tools, she is now incentivized to do that just for her own financial well-being. And now for retailers, she's driving qualified traffic and sales to their sites. So it's a win for her followers and consumers, a win for the retailers, and of course her and her husband are now able to fund their lifestyle through their earnings at Reward Style. So there's been some articles recently about bloggers and influence and how impactful is this really. And what I want to show you guys is just how quickly the industry is moving and how the adoption of our tools and strategies are really impacting change in the influencer content industry. So this year we'll drive over $500 million in retail sales for our partners. That's more than we've driven actually in the past 3 years of business. So just with about 30% more influencers, we're driving quite a substantial amount of more revenue, and that's due in large part to one of our newest tools, which is LIKEtoKNOW.it, which is why I'm here to share with you today. So LIKEtoKNOW.it, I think this is one of the most exciting stats of the whole day. Historically, when we look at social networks, we've worked across all of them for several years now. We've been in business for about 4 years. And historically, when we look back before LIKEtoKNOW.it, social platforms actually accounted for less than 1% of all retail sales driven through our platform. And again, we're working across at least 10. With LIKEtoKNOW.it this year, it'll account for more than 8% of sales driven to our retail partners. So another big shift that we're seeing is actually just what I kind of call the urban sprawl of digital content. So this is a typical influencer. These are some of the channels that she's publishing to, and she's creating original content for each of these platforms. So where we come in as her business partner is creating technical tools so that she can actually monetize each of these platforms so they become sustainable properties for her. Because why is she going to stay on Facebook or Instagram, for example, if she's not able to continue to fund her small business? In 2013, we realized what was happening in the mobile space and how it was really starting to impact the businesses of our content creators as well as our retailers. And so I wanted to offer an example. Sincerely, Jules, she has about 3 million followers, so some of you guys might be familiar with her. She's based in LA, has worked with us since she was a girl taking pictures in the circle driveway of her house in Silver Lake. She is a blogger as well, so Jules would actually create usually about 1 blog post a day, which she still does on her own properties. But she's actually creating original content to Instagram about every 2 hours. And so when we saw this shift for her, we noticed a couple things. First of all, her audience was saying, where'd you get that jeans? Where'd you find that jacket? Are you in LA today? What hotel are you staying at? So asking tons of questions that they can find the answers to on her blog. But this content's hitting Instagram before it's ever hitting her blog. It might be weeks later before they can actually find out that information. And so seeing that this is a platform where Jules wanted to publish, her audience was even more engaged there than they were on her own site, so her own channel. So she's seeing actually more follower growth, more engagement there. We were tasked with this opportunity to build something for her and influencers like her that was, first of all, complementary to the Instagram platform, that lived within it, and that was really a seamless integration for consumers so that it didn't change anything about their experience in the platform. And so we created a solution called LIKEtoKNOW.it. And LIKEtoKNOW.it's quite literal. Truly, you as a consumer, you sign up at LIKEtoKNOW.it, you validate your Instagram account, and then whenever you like any photos on Instagram that are enabled with the LIKEtoKNOW.it link, it'll trigger an email to your inbox with that Instagram and then the associated product information, so everything that's relevant. It could be the hotel that you're staying at, the airline that you're flying, or the cute red purse that you were wearing. And as a consumer, you have the opportunity to say, I want these emails as soon as possible when I hit the like, I want them daily, I want them weekly. Something that's really interesting is we now have over 1 million socially influenced shoppers that interact with LIKEtoKNOW.it. 95% choose to get the emails as soon as possible. It's a very targeted group of consumers who want the same information that, like we said, has always been provided on Jules' blog, but now they want to get it mobily. Something else that we've noticed as far as shifts in the industry is what's happening with content for retailers. So for the last several years, our retailers have commissioned Reward Style to create original content across our influencers' sites. So they want to be on Jules' site and they want their products to be shown through native advertising there to her audience. But one of the biggest shifts has been that these retailers are now responsible for creating that digital content across all those same channels that we were just talking about. So they need to be just as active on Instagram as Jules is. And so what we've been doing is just this year, actually in the past few months, we've launched 2 new tools for our retailers so that they can do that. The first is just native. It's for the the followers that are already with them on Instagram, for example. And so they're now able to use LIKEtoKNOW.it as a retailer to then retarget that information back to their consumer inboxes. So when I'm following Moda Operandi, for example, and I see that they've got this really cute monogram shirt that I want, I can hit the like on Moda Operandi and get that email delivered to my inbox. But in addition to that kind of like that native experience, it's for already, the followers that are already there. Instagram has released some really exciting new opportunities for retailers specifically. One of those is carousel ads. So about 3 months ago, you guys probably all saw that there were a few first movers on Instagram. And one of those was Banana Republic. So Banana Republic is one of the retailers that works with Reward Style. You saw that list earlier. There's, like I said, 4,000. We track and commission sales across over 130 countries. It's everyone from luxury players like your Moda, your Gucci, Proenza, down to high street like ASOS and Topshop, and then you also saw our travel retailers, the most recent launch like Southwest Airlines and Priceline and others. Banana Republic is one of those clients, and so they've used us historically to, again, commission content that would be distributed across our influencers' platforms. But now they've actually used us for that first campaign that you saw that they got so much press on because they're now responsible for storytelling themselves. So how are they going to get the best content whenever they're doing these paid placements? So not the organic ones where they're using our other tools, but those paid placements where they're giving the opportunity to actually go find new consumers. And so they came to us because our publishers are using all of our tools across all of their platforms, including Instagram, we're able to say, okay, Banana, you want a female who's based in the US, who drives a high conversion rate when you're looking at this type of price point of product, and we're able to drill down and say, based on historical performance data, these are the publishers that fit your criteria that are going to be most performant on your own storytelling. So for the first time in this, one of the first ad campaigns on Instagram, they actually leveraged reward style to commission this content. So I wanted to share that with you today, the two new really kind of exciting ways that retailers are using reward style and LIKEtoKNOW.it for, again, kind of their native marketing, but also those paid placements, and how we're helping the social platforms really to drive better content when we're looking at these new paid opportunities. And lastly, because I know we're really out of time, but I just want to show you live kind of what this looks like within Instagram. And I encourage you all to go to LIKEtoKNOW.it and sign up for the service. So you just sign up once. And Rob, I've just plugged in. Cool. So now I'm on Instagram. I'm just scrolling through my feed. I can like some of my pictures. You'll notice here that, for example, Ami from Song of Style, she has her little LIKEtoKNOW.it caption. You can see it on the side. I'm liking these pictures, and these will then end up in my inbox so I can shop those images. So when I flip back to my inbox, here are those images. I can see that LIKEtoKNOW.it has actually collected all of them from my single session. And maybe there was, I love this girl's cute overalls. So I can just then click on the overalls. It's going to take me to the retailer site to purchase those. We're tracking those sales, and then of course billing the retailer, paying the publisher, and they're incentivized to continue to provide this level of information. I would have never known from before that these overalls were from Lovers and Friends on Revolve Clothing. So this now gave me all that information, which is of huge value to the brand, huge value to me as a consumer, and of course our publishers are now incentivized to create more beautiful and engaging content on these platforms, making them a sustainable place to publish. So thank you guys for your time today. Our team is in the back in the networking hall. Come visit us, and I encourage you to sign up for LIKEtoKNOW.it and try it out.